Those on purpose.
A regular meeting of the City Council held in the Council Chamber on Thursday, January 26, 2017 at 7 p.m. for the purposes of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on January 24th at 8:56 a.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV, and I ask that you all double-check your cell phones, make sure they're on silent. All councilors are present, no one is absent. Councilor Milo presided. Councilor Ryan moves to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. President Milo requested that everyone please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Turrio.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have public testimony.
Madam City Clerk, I want to take a point of personal privilege.
Councilor Sargent.
It was Mayor O'Connor who runs the police canine dog committee that raises funds from. Wanted to ask me if we could take a moment of silence for the passing of Thor, the police dog. And being like a policeman in a line of duty almost. So it's like we lost a police employee. So we could take a moment of silence for Thor, the police dog. I would ask everybody please stand and take a moment.
Absolutely.
Sworn in as an officer.
All right, thank you for Thor.
Thank you. And we thank Thor for his service. Okay, public testimony. We have one individual sign up for testimony. Mr. Cohen, come forward. Your name and address for the record, please.
Jeff Cohen, 12 Hancock Street, Salem. And I'm speaking to support Councilor Epley's order that all city councilors, starting in 2018, serve on 2 subcommittees, and one of them would be Administration and Finance and Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs. I think the value of this, because of these 2 important subcommittees, is that way there would be little chance that ward councilors or people who represent specific constituencies would be left out of these important decisions that are made in those committees. And I think the better participation is what makes us a more democratic city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, hearings.
Ordered that from National Grid to relocate 2 poles at 401, 405 Bridge Street.
Okay, and appearing in favor? Name and address for the record, please.
Sabita Mahaber-Sheehy, representing National Grid, 44 River Street, Beverly, Massachusetts. This is to facilitate the construction and location of the elderly center, senior center.
Okay, any questions, discussion by councilors? Councilor Fumiko?
Yes, Madam President. With this relocation, could you tell us if these new proposed locations have also consulted the plans that have gone before our planning board as far as entrances to the facility, parking areas, and sidewalks?
Yes, they met us out there on site along with the contractor.
Okay.
This is actually being done per their recommendations.
Okay. My concern with this is, as currently stands, the posts that are in the ground there, they're actually dead, like right in the middle of the sidewalk there. So it's not accessible with ADA, and also the way these are with the anchors as in the proposed drawing, where that will be in relationship to the sidewalks and the sidewalk width, and I know that's not specifically shown on here.
The poles will be on the front side of the sidewalk. The anchors will be on the back, bordering the property, actually a little bit into the property line, and they're extending the sidewalk at that location to allow for the handicap.
To allow for the handicap
Yeah.
accessibility? So once again, the post will be closer to the roadway there?
Yes.
And then what will be the span between the post and the anchor?
5 feet.
5 feet. Okay. Madam President, I would actually ask that we have this remain remain on the council agenda and continue the hearing until our meeting in 2 weeks, just to clarify with the plans for the area as far as the entrances. I know that they was on site for that, but whereas where they're currently located, and I don't think there's a time frame of 2 weeks that would really matter for this, just to be able to clarify that we're doing this right and that we're going to make sure it's in unison with the Mass Works road improvement that we're looking in that area as well. So just to continue it for 2 weeks, get all that confirmation, and then come back here at that point with plans from the planning board, and that we're looking at with the traffic commission as well to see how it flows together.
Okay, so your motion is to continue the hearing to a
For our
date
next regularly scheduled city
certain,
council meeting.
which is, I'm not sure what that date is.
February 9th.
February
February
9th?
And that we just clarify with the planning department through Tom Daniel and through our traffic and parking director prior to that about the proposed locations.
They are marked at locations.
Pardon?
They are marked on the sidewalk.
Okay. That way it gives us an opportunity to just to,
And the anchors are going to be on private property.
I understand, but I'd still like to continue it until then so that we as a body can confirm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council McCarthy?
Well, thank you, Madam President. My only question would be is, I mean, obviously, it's the Ward 2 Council's ward, and she has concerns, and rightly so, is that, I can't say your name, I'm sorry. Sabita came tonight, and obviously to answer questions. Now, if the good Ward 2 Council questions are answered, I mean, obviously we kept the public hearing. She's taken time out of her schedule to be here tonight. So if everything is fine in respect, do we need Ms. Sabita to come back again in 2 weeks? Unless she's already going to be here for another hearing, I'm not aware of, this is another one. Or if there's no issues with the Ward 2 Councilor, be fine that she not come back. If everything that we're seeing in this packet tonight all spells out exactly as the planning department has already gone through this process of identifying it, so as long as it's acceptable to everybody in the Ward 2 Council, except do we need Ms. Sabita to come back? I would guess would be the question.
Council Famiko?
I just want to make sure of that, although we have an email from John Giardi, he is the city electrician and not through the planning department and not through the building plannings for this, so I'd prefer if we could have you come back in 2 weeks for that. There's been other projects that recently have gone live, and I don't know if it was National Grid or another entity that when they redid, for example, Canal Street, we have a post smack dab in the middle of a sidewalk, and I don't think it was meant to be that way, but it is.
Actually, that is a DOT and that's a state job.
Okay.
And they were placed where the state told us to place them, and the sidewalk, that fence is actually going to be moved back. They're taking the road to the front of those poles.
Okay. I would just like confirmation and to continue it for 2 weeks.
I can't confirm from the state.
Oh, I know, but for this particular location in question, I'd like to keep it and refer to the meeting on the February 9th.
February 9th?
for dates of-
Councillor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam President. I rise just to simply question, this is a gateway into the city of Salem, and it will be at the front door of the Gateway Center, with the senior center and some housing, et cetera. Has National Grid looked into the possibility of putting this line with all these poles underground? Even with permission of right-of-way or on the private property, which is all about to be constructed. I believe there's another line that's coming from Boston Street on the same property, right around the corner, being constructed. Maybe the two can work hand in hand and...
They are working hand in hand. The additional cost for putting that and extending out the 2 feeder ties that are at that location was cost prohibitive for the customer.
This is before the planning board, you mean?
They have already paid for the 13 kV to come in at that location and for the underground to be placed and the 2 feeder ties that were on Goodhue Street to be moved and the 4 kV feeder ties that were on Boston Street, on Bridge Street to be moved in order to put that first section on the ground.
Yeah, Madam President, through you, with all due respect, for 25, 30 years ago, I worked with National Grid, I worked with Warner Cable and several others, and they almost willingly put things underground when things were being constructed and they were open. You're already running conduit right in this area, and I'm simply asking me, well, why don't we ask you to revisit it to see if you can lay one more PVC pipe in an area that's going down for these additional poles that they're right in front of the Gateway Center. Thank you.
That would not be for us. I'm sorry, that would not be for us, and Mass Electric was different from National Grid.
I understand.
Any other discussion?
Madam President, just one more thing. I'd just like to see that the anchors are actually, because if it's on the site, if it's already gone through the planning board, it should be shown on the site plan review where these posts are located as far as entrances, proximity to sight lines. So we could review that prior to the next meeting as well.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilor Famico to keep this public hearing open. Second. I think it was already seconded by Councilor Dibble, right? To keep the hearing open until February 9th. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Colonel Megan Leclerc, Esquire, 10 Orchard Street, to the Salem Harbor Port Authority for a 3-year term to expire January 12, 2020.
Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. Unfortunately, Colonel Leclerc could not be here tonight. She said she will be at the February 9th meeting, so I ask that this be held under the rules until the next meeting.
Okay. Councilor Giroux asks that this be held under the rules until February 9th. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of Grace Harrington to serve as a member of the Salem Redevelopment Authority with a term to expire on January 26, 2022.
Councilor Fury.
Madam President, I move for confirmation by roll call vote, please.
Councilor Fury moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Yes, please. I enthusiastically recommend the reappointment of Grace Harrington for a 5-year term. I serve as the City Council liaison to the Salem Renewal Authority. She is a real credit to the community and her family, which is a distinguished record of public service over the years. Grace has worked at the State House as a liaison, legislative aide. She serves as chairperson of the SRA, which is a critical position on that very professional board that I help to be part of. There are some major projects on the front burner now, and the SRA has the Midas touch in their projects that they've done. On the front burner now is that Grace is handling ably as vice chairman, as chairman, making a 6-story project out of the old courthouse on Washington Street, first floor being commercial and 5 floors residential. Another big project is the expansion of the PBD 6 Museum. A third project is the restoration of the PBD Grimshaw House on Charter Street. Another big project on the front burner is the Raleigh Plaza Hotel Residential and Commercial Complex. Another complex, the fifth, a recent acquisition of the courthouse on Washington and Federal Street, where that's going to go. And 6 is the expansion of the old Salem Jail. So I think Grace has been a long-time neighbor of Councilor O'Keefe, where I sit in, I have the honor of sitting in. And she's a good friend to the O'Keefe family. So I would be glad to nominate her for a 5-year appointment, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. Further discussion. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd have to echo the good at-large councilor's comments. Councilor Joe O'Keefe would have spoken on this because he held Grace Harrington, but I knew her only as Gracie. This is a wonderful reappointment, and usually I wouldn't want to speak about a reappointment, but Grace Harrington, or Gracie, as I've known her since she was about 6 years old, and running around my house, in front of my house for annual block parties, and my kids grew up with her, and they have the highest respect for her. We couldn't find a better reappointment than Grace Harrington, and I echo these comments, and so would Joe O'Keefe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Fury's motion for confirmation by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Turiel?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor Giroux?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Epley?
Yes.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of Grace Harrington's reappointment to the Salem Redevelopment Authority, we have 11 counselors voting, 11 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Grace is reappointed. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointments and reappointments of the following constables with terms to expire: Eugene Aoy, Dana Hagan, Ronald Barthheim, Clint Larrabee, Mark McGrath, and James Barino.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam President. Move received and placed on file.
Councilor Ryan moves that these be received and placed on file. Any discussion?
No discussion, except there is an order in there to look at the constables, and we'll be looking at it in order as soon as I can set up a meeting for that. But other than that, no.
Okay, all right. In the matter of Councilor Ryan's motion that these be received and placed on file, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries.
Madam President.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'd like to move to take out of order page 15, petitions at the top. I don't think there's, just want to, the gentlemen from Iberdola are here, and rather than have to wait for the whole rest of the meeting to go through, might as well take it up.
Okay, Councilor McCarthy moves that we move out of order to page 15. Petitions? Any objection?
We have a request from Iberdrola to conduct maintenance and safety work on Sundays, not construction work, and to work a full second shift to the end by midnight on weekdays and Saturdays.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I move to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Ballard to address the council. Mr. Ballard is the project manager for Iberdrola down at the footprint. So I'll reserve any comments until after Mr. Ballard has been given an opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Any objection? Seeing none, Mr. Ballard?
Thank you, Madam President. My name is Bob Ballard. I'm contract manager for Iberdrola Energy Projects. We are the EPC contractor for the new Salem Harbor Energy Center. I came before you early last year to ask permission to work an overlapping second shift that would end at 10 p.m. At that time, we were about 30% complete, and we had about 500 employees working on the site. I come to you tonight to ask for two things. One, for a complete second shift that is not overlapping. One is the 7 to 3:30, and one from 4 to midnight. Why is this necessary? It's necessary because we have slipped some schedule. We are a little bit behind. As reported in the Salem News, we now are anticipating completing the project by the end of the summer. But we need to make up that time, and we're now at 1,000, over 1,000 people working on the site. The second reason for working that second shift is it cuts down on the traffic coming and going. I mean, the same number of vehicles, but when you have up to 800 cars coming in at one time, it really creates some issues. So we're trying to solve that. The second request that we're making, we're also now about 65% complete, and we are also in what we call the commissioning phase, where we're starting to get electricity to some of the motors. We're having to exercise them. So we need to do that around the clock, or particularly every day. So we're asking for permission to work a small crew of up to 60 people on Sunday to do this maintenance work that is absolutely necessary to keep the project going.
Okay, Councilor Famico, Councilor McCarthy, or Councilor McCarthy, Councilor Famico.
Thank you.
Let's go with Councilor McCarthy first. It's his
Thank you.
ward.
The request, the request from Iberdola is, I understand their request, but at this time, I don't feel comfortable I mean, they reached out to me this week. They wanted to sit down with me and talk to me exactly the specifics. I did not have an opportunity. Work's been kind of crazy this week. So I'd like the opportunity to sit down with them, maybe do a site visit to try to figure out exactly what areas they're talking about doing this Sunday maintenance. Everyone needs a day of rest. My neighbors, my constituents, people who live down and around this site have been putting up with a lot for a long time. It was just alluded by Mr. Ballard, the traffic. The traffic is something that, I don't know, I don't even want to talk about it. It just, every day it's something different. But we're trying to work through it as best we can. But at this time, with regards to Sundays, we did it last year. We allowed Sundays every other Sunday during the winter. Obviously, the winter time is a time when, you know, doors and windows are closed, the weather is such that you wouldn't probably hear it, but the fact is, I'd really like to know where the activity is going to take place before I even commit to Sundays. So I'd like, and the other thing is, with regards to a full second shift, this whole project went through a whole public hearing process that took months and months and months and months. And it basically, the whole process was permitted by the Energy Facility Siting Board with restrictions, with a memorandum of understanding and everything that went through it. And specific to that memorandum of understanding was that if approved by the city, the second shift could be added. It was sort of like a swing shift, so to speak, or a slide shift, and it was going to end at 10. I don't feel, I mean, 10 o'clock is one thing. It's a limited amount that they swing, whatever amount of people are swinging. They're trying to do as best they can, but, I mean, and I don't fault, I mean, I don't know where to place fault, but, you know, 3 weeks ago, you know, a subcontractor, sometimes they just do what they need to do to get something done. And all of a sudden, I got cranes and lights and everything going on in the front of the building I'm getting text messages on my phone at 11:30 at night. Jeez. Stuff happens, they wanted to get something done, beg forgiveness after the fact, I'm sorry. In the Energy Facility Siting Board's rationale, it was said 10 o'clock. I don't feel comfortable taking months and months of testimony and just taking a vote tonight without actually probably referring this thing to a public hearing in front of our next meeting. So if neighbors and someone wants to come in and talk about this, and talk about some of their concerns, and give people a chance to speak to me, because sometimes this is the first they're hearing of it. I would prefer that I'll defer to the city clerk on what the avenue is to that. Probably, if we could post a public hearing at our next meeting and bring Air Redola in, just so they can, at that point, I would be given 2 weeks to get over on site, try to figure out where exactly they want, when they talk about the maintenance work that wants to be done. I mean, obviously, we all realize once this thing's complete, it's going to be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's going to be people inside. People are going to be working. But until that structural skin gets completed on there, and I know if they're going to be back along the water this time, no one's going to hear them. 60 guys or whatever it is. That's one thing. But I want some assurances of where they're going to be and exactly what they're going to be doing. But with regards to the extending hours till midnight, Monday through Saturday, I don't feel comfortable taking that vote tonight. I would really prefer a public, at least a hearing. And at that point, it may be that, because I've read the ruling, if we turn them down, if they're allowed to ask for it, if we turn them down, then they can go to the Energy Facility Siting Board at the state level, and they can ask the state to give them the permission to work, and if the state grants it, then so be it. I realize it's a complex project. I realize that there's a timetable involved, and there's guarantees on them being footprint to have this place up and running, so they may plead all that to the state, and the state may grant them that, which would be out of our control. But I just don't feel comfortable on a Thursday night in January where we just got posted this. I mean, I knew about it about a week ago. They asked me to come in and talk because they were talking about it for the last couple of weeks about bringing it in. I haven't had time to talk to the neighbors. The neighbors haven't had time to digest all this. I think they need 2 weeks to say, hey, this is what's going to happen. In 2 weeks' time, you want to come in and talk about what your experience is relative specifically to construction. I mean, Mr. Ballard alluded to, I don't care how many shifts you put on, the traffic is going to be the traffic. They're going to park where they're going to park. They're going to speed where they're going to. We're trying to control that at a city level. But specifically the construction activities relative to people's ability to get a good night's sleep, that's what we need to be talking about, the public hearing. Obviously, people are going to complain. I mean, the issues with regards to traffic, we're trying to address. But specifically with regard to construction, I'd be more concerned about people's, I think the hearing should be about the construction and the noise and public well-being associated with the construction, as opposed to, I mean, it's nice to say that if we go to 2 full shifts, the amount of traffic isn't gonna stop. It's still the same amount of cars, so it's still gonna be the same, I mean, they may be concentrated at different times, but it's still gonna be an issue. But it's more relative to that 10 o'clock date that was set in the Energy Facility by the Board rationale, and if we want to extend that, I think that, if people around that are willing to come to me, or they say, we don't have an issue, we'd rather see this thing done, if they're going to make a commitment to get it done by such a date, so the construction itself ends. But at this point, I respect Mr. Ballard and the guys that come with him. I mean, they're doing their best, so to speak. But I mean, I realize it's a very complex project, but I don't feel comfortable extending past 10 o'clock, right? That was something that was agreed upon after months and months of testimony. I think that if we're going to extend that, we should at least have a public hearing. If the result of the public hearing is we move to deny, then we move to deny, and then they have the recourse of going back to the state. So that would be my recommendation tonight. I would hope that my colleagues would understand that. I mean, I've been very supportive of the power plant and their efforts. I still am to this day. I realize the importance of the project, but at the same time I can't think of a better year-and-a-half period for construction relative to weather. I mean, we went through a drought. We went through 1 snowstorm last year. The amount of effort that's been put into that days lost has been minimal. And I mean, I can't speak to them for there be issues with regards to materials they need didn't come in on time and whatnot, but they've had a very good run of weather, and now that they're saying they're behind, that's concerning to me. I'd like to do anything we can to help them, but at the same time, I have to protect the well-being of the people that live around this power plant.
So, Councilor McCarthy, is your motion to...
My motion is to have a public hearing at the next council meeting, and at that time, we'll take a vote on whether we move to deny and send the matter to, at that point, the contractor can decide to go in front of the Energy Facility Siting Board for their ruling. They have that ability in that ruling, that if we deny them, they can ask for it. If we deny them, then they can go to the state. Okay. But at this point, there's nobody in this room, I believe, that wants to talk about this other than us. Right. And I respect them for asking without doing it, but at the same time, I don't feel comfortable extending hours past 10 o'clock at night, Monday through Saturday.
Do we have a second on Councilor McCarthy's motion?
I'll second it.
Councilor Famico seconds Councilor McCarthy's motion. Under discussion, Councilor Famico.
I know I seconded that, but I'd actually suggest that we maybe refer it to the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and Environment, so we can have a meeting scheduled prior to our next council meeting that gives more ample time for neighbors to come in and discuss this versus limited to during the meeting and the public hearing aspect of it.
Councilor McCarthy.
I don't have a problem with that either. I think that's actually a better approach. As long as it's not next week, it's the week after, maybe like right before our council meeting, like on a Wednesday or something, the following week. I'll relieve that to the chair, but then I'd withdraw my motion for a public hearing, and I'd actually support that, because that would provide an opportunity where we can let people know, and they can show up at a meeting, and that way if it lasts more than, it won't take up a council meeting to do it. We can do it at a public, right here in this room.
Okay, so Councilor McCarthy withdraws his motion. Councilor Famico makes a motion to move this matter to Public Health and Safety.
Second.
Okay, Councilor Councilor Epley seconds that. Under discussion, Councilor Ryan?
Madam President?
Oh, sorry.
And also, I'd like to add for this that when that comes, I know traffic's just part of it, but as someone that used to pick up my nephew at the Bentley School and go down there at that hour, I know that the Salem Police has been stationing one of their traffic officers at the intersection of Webb and Essex Street to help facilitate with the vehicles coming out, because oftentimes, while there's a stop sign on the property, it just, the cars keep going and going and going. I'd just like an update at that time about what the traffic management plan is, and working with the Salem Police on that.
Councilor Ryan was next?
I'll yield to Councilor McCarthy.
Okay, Councilor McCarthy?
With respect to some of the traffic mitigation,
Obviously, they're up.
obviously there's been concerns along the line. We have increased the signage in and around Bentley School. The signage with relative to school zones was bad. I've had our city electrician down there. The school lights, the flashing lights, hadn't been working. They work now. Some glitch in them or something they fixed. So we are trying to mitigate the traffic in and around there, and on a rotating schedule, so to speak, we have police traffic down there Sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes it's around the let out of school. It depends on the day where they try to put them. They try to move them around because the guys get to know where they go. Unfortunately, the guys are creatures of habits. They try to tend to park in the same spots. They try to sneak get out of there as quick as they can. We circulated a petition relative to making some of the streets along Webb Street one way so that the traffic couldn't cut through to get onto English Street to get out. It was met there was no clear-cut decision. It was like a 50-50. Some people liked the idea, some people didn't like the idea. So there was, where it wasn't definitively, yeah, let's make our streets one way so they can't cut through, realizing that it was to act as a deterrent. So we're trying to mitigate traffic as much as we can. I talked to the police chief probably at least once a week, some days, sometimes it's once every day, depending upon what issues come up relative to, I don't know why they passed out tickets last Sunday during the football game, but somehow it happened and the tickets were rescinded and then they did it again the next day. So there was somehow there was a glitch because there's also at the same time as they're replacing the water main in front of the power plant at the same time. So there's no parking along Derby Street at all in front of the power plant because they're replacing the water main from Webb to Ford. So all the parking was there is now moved. So it's a project in motion, especially with regards to traffic. Traffic is just one of those things that we, fortunately, I hope it doesn't snow. But we're trying with regards to traffic. But obviously, if we want to invite Lieutenant Przewski or somebody in, we can go through what measures we have been trying over the last bunch of months to try to mitigate some of that stuff.
Okay. Councilor Ryan.
And Council McCarthy, I was going to knock on wood too, because the year we got all that snow didn't start until right about this time. But you're the ward councilors, you're on the front line, and I don't know if it would make a difference to give it to them now, just to see what the issues are until the meeting happens, or not do it at all, because then you could see what the issues are going to be. You're going to know what some of the issues are already, or just wait. It's up to them to, I don't know if they could implement it that fast, but then if you do it just for the time period between now and when the meeting is, then the issues might come out to see where any issues, or if there are no issues, it might be a good test. But you're the ward councilor, so I yield to whatever you think.
Councilor McCarthy.
I appreciate that, and I would just say that, as was stated, they seemingly are behind schedule. I don't think 2 weeks of work and extended hours will be a lot, but at the same time, especially the Sundays, I mean, look at next Sunday and the Sunday after before we have it's a Super Bowl. I mean, I'm sorry, if they can find guys to work on a Sunday on Super Bowl Sunday, then they're paying them triple time or something on a Sunday. So I don't think they're going to work anyway. So I don't think the Sundays are an issue. But I mean, we allowed them the second shift, the sliding second shift till 10 o'clock because that's the way it was written in the Energy Facility Siting Board ruling. I don't feel comfortable altering that decision by extending it 2 hours, Monday through Saturday, because currently, I don't even think, right now, I'd have to look, I don't think Saturday, I think they're only working one shift right now. They might be working the second shift, but it was like more, and it wasn't as big as a shift. But Monday through Friday till midnight, I'm sorry, I just have an issue with it, and I think it's outside of just making a recommendation to this body, and hopefully they go on. I think right now I need to have a meeting, invite people, neighbors in, and say, what are the issues what issues do you perceive if we extend this? And I think that's fair. And if the public doesn't want to extend it, then they have a recourse, and they go to the state, because the state basically has the final jurisdiction over the whole project.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Just to be clear on Councilor Famico's motion, that's to be referred to committee for a public hearing, because I know that there are, or are you just going to have a regular committee meeting? Because public hearings require advertising, correct? So we want to be clear on which it is.
I was looking for just a regular public meeting, and then we could put...
Okay, just a public meeting, okay.
It's up to the good...
Nope, that's fair, that's fine.
Okay, all right, great. So on Councilor Famico's motion to refer this matter to the Committee on Public Health and Safety, all those in favor? Opposed?
One last thing.
Oh, sorry, sure.
Is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak on this matter before we move it? I mean, I know
the
gentleman sitting behind me, but I'm not sure why they... Just in case, because I would hate that they show up and not have it said. Sure, Mr. Bell.
Obviously, it's not something that we agree with, but I appreciate your thoughts. I know what you go through, and you and I have talked many times. The full second shift is something we've considered very seriously, that you know, the EFSB also says we can't start before 7 o'clock. So if we're to work 2 shifts, there's no way to do it other than 7 to 3:30 and 4 to 12. And the work is necessary. It's a very complicated project. It's very congested. But the Sunday maintenance work is absolutely necessary. If we don't exercise the equipment, then we're going to lose it. And we'll be here for 10 years rather than another few months. So it is a very serious issue. I don't know if we can wait that long for the hearing or the meeting that we're talking about, but it is a very serious issue that we have to do something about. But I would like to invite Councilman McCarthy and any other councilman that would like to come to the site to see what we're doing. It's a pretty exciting project. It's going to be a showpiece. We're very confident in that. The work is going very well. Massachusetts workers are very confident and are doing a good job. That's not why we're not on schedule. But please come visit us soon.
No, I will, and I will, if I may.
Yeah, thank you.
The one thing I will ask is whenever we schedule my visit, that I'm there whenever we're exercising some of this equipment that you want to do specifically on Sunday, because I'd like to physically have an understanding of, if someone comes to me and says, Bob, why are you considering allowing them Sundays? I want to say, because A, it needs to be exercised, B, it's in the building in the back, and C, it's not going to impact anyone. It's just, you know, it's an exercise, and I'd like to be physically there to understand what it is, what machinery we're talking about, and what kind of noise it is. Because it's about people who live there. People, I mean, they're all going to be neighbors, and we all want this thing to work, but at the same time, while it's being constructed, it's very, for lack of a better word, frustrating for some of the neighbors with some of the things and the issues that go on a day-to-day basis, and I just want to make sure that those issues are addressed and
You may pick any day, because every day we're exercising equipment.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Just one final clarification on the motion to move to committee. Is that co-posted? Co-posted, okay. All right, so on Councilor Famico's motion to move this matter to committee, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter goes to committee. Councilor McCarthy.
I move that we return to the regular portion of the meeting.
Councilor McCarthy moves that we return to the regular portion of the meeting on page... 5. Let me go back here. 4?
5.
5? Oh, yeah, we did that, okay. Okay, page 5. Communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $250,000 from capital outlay renovation and repair account to be expended for the design phase for Essex Street roadway improvement project by the engineering department.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Gerard moves for suspension of the rules to bring this in. Any objection? Seeing none? Councilor Gerard.
And I move for adoption.
Councilor Gerard moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President.
Oh, I have that.
This is coming out of free cash because it came into the general fund. This was the amount of money that RCG gave to us for this particular project. So this is just to move it forward and to get it all going.
Okay. Any further discussion? Councilor Famico, Councilor Dibble, and Councilor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm just wondering if you would accept a friendly amendment that the plans be reviewed by the Traffic and Parking Commission and by the Bicycling Advisory Committee for their review and comments after the plans are done, just to make sure that we get them on board before we start digging up streets, to have them review.
Sure. I have no
Okay,
problem.
thanks. And Councilor Famico, could you just put that in writing so that we'll have it on the...
Absolutely.
You've got it, thank you. Councilor Dibble, Councilor Fury.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very familiar with this one block section. Having a little history here. $250,000 is a heck of a whole lot of money to spend on design services, never mind how much would we spend on the actual construction of it. When we walk down that one long block section between Washington and North Street, I'd say, in summer, on one side of the street, on the north side, Strata Construction, very good company, built that sidewalk. On the other side, Santarelli Construction built that. sidewalk in 1987 or 1988. And we have an excellent existing survey already done in the engineering department. We also have an excellent design already done in the engineering department. The sidewalks are in fairly good shape. They need some repair, some maintenance. The brick needs a little bit of maintenance. The trees that were planted way back when, some of them had failed, but the balance of them are doing quite well. And I would hate to see them cut down and replaced with smaller trees that may or may not become established. Recently, the city recently put in about 10 new trees, and hopefully they become established as well. But the older trees, it doesn't make sense to cut them down. We just cut down, in the good Ward 5 councils, we just cut down about 50 trees on Canal Street that some of them needed to come down, but others look pretty good. We're talking about doing the same thing in Lafayette Square, taking down some dozen trees or so that are established, and those are doing well, but I think that design's changing. And I'd hate to see even more trees come down here on Essex Street. So I'd like to ask that this go into committee and have a little bit more discussion with our city engineer on this project. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, on Councilor Dibble's motion that this be moved to committee, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Fury, under discussion, Councilor
I
Fury.
strongly concur with Councilor Dibble. I think this is a large appropriation for this small amount of territory from north to Washington Street situation. So I think it really needs investigative research, back to committee, and dot the i's, cross the t's.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. Further discussion? Councilor Girai.
Thank you. I'm fine with this going to committee, but this is like the second part of what we've already approved, that this was in the CIP, and so we now just have to take it out in order to allow for the study to go forward, but I'm fine with whatever the body wants.
Okay, all right, thank you. Councilor Fumiko.
President, with this, could I also ask it go to public health, safety, and environment, because we are dealing with environmental factors and safety factors?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part.
Public health, safety, environment.
It's a money issue.
It's a money issue, however, we're talking about the design part of it, and government services is more of like the services of government versus a design of environment and health.
But,
Councilor McCarthy, then Councilor Girai.
The matter is in, well, if it hadn't been approved, it was going to be sent to committee. In this case, an appropriation would go to finance. So if you're asking to go to another committee, then the initial committee would have to refer the matter to that committee, then they deal with it, then they'd have to refer it back to finance to discharge it because it's a money matter. So if finance, I'm not going to tell any chairs of any committees how to run the committees, but if the finance committee chair is willing to have the meeting relative to the discussion on the project relative to bringing it back for appropriation, then that's fine. But if it's outside of the scope of what they want to deal with, then then their motion would be to move it to another committee. That's a matter of just the committees.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Fumiko.
That being said, could I make an amendment that be referred to administration and finance?
That's where it was going, wasn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
you said government services, correct?
I just
No,
said
he
committee.
said-
I didn't
okay.
specify. My recommendation is going to be government. Sorry, Madam Chair.
Councilor Fumiko, Councilor Girai.
Gerard. Yeah, so this can come to administration and finance, and I can co-post it. That would be fine.
Absolutely. Okay, so on Councilor Dibble's motion to move this to Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation for $52,423.12 from the Retirement Stabilization Fund Vacation Sick Leave Buyback Account to be expended for the following contractual buybacks: Carol Amodio and Anthony Mento.
Councilor Girai.
Thank you, Madam President. Move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Girai moves for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Seeing none. Councilor Girai.
I move for adoption.
Councilor Girai moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. So this is a very routine matter. Mrs. Amadeo and Mr. Mento had been fantastic school department employees, and so it's time for them to retire, sadly. However, I know that Izzy, Jake, and Lucas Amadeo are going to be looking forward to spending more time with their grandmother. So.
Thank you. Any further discussion? No? Okay, on Councilor Girard's motion that this be adopted, all those in favor? Opposed? Matters adopted. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $50,000 from retained earnings water sewer fund account to water contracted services account for the Wilson Road Pump Station retrofit.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Gerard moves for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Seeing none. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be adopted.
Councilor Gerard moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly, this is a routine matter that we just need the funding to start the work, that this is important to address issues on the Wilson Road Pump Station retrofit.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On Councilor Gerard's motion that this matter be adopted, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter is adopted. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $2,000 from fund balance reserved for appropriation free cash account to the planning board advertising account.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Gerard moves for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Seeing none. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this also be adopted.
Councilor Gerard moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. This is largely routine that due to the advertising budget going above and outside of budget due to a number of planning board meetings, they've asked for $2,000 just to cover the expenses.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Gerard's motion to adopt this matter, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter is adopted. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order to accept the donation of $1,300 from the Friends of the Council on Aging to be deposited into the Salem Council on Aging Fund.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. Quickly, I just want to just address this, that in the Council on Aging, the director's letter, that she specifically said that this was going to, that this donation would be going to paying for the Salem Y aquatics instructor. And so I've spoken with the city solicitor as well as the city clerk, and have filed paperwork with the city clerk in case there is a conflict of interest, that I have previously worked at the Salem Y and may work there again. So I just want that to be acknowledged, that I have filed the paperwork. But in terms of this, that I move that we adopt.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Gerard's motion that we adopt this matter, all in favor? All opposed? The matter carries. Mayor's informational page, none. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking limited time is hereby amended by adding the following. Mason Street in front of number 107 for a distance of 20 feet, handicap parking tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter.
Okay, Councilor Gerard, do you have a motion for first passage?
I'm sorry, and I make a I move for adoption for first passage.
Okay, under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. This constituent had reached out to me, and Lieutenant Brzezinski spoke with the constituent and looked at and reviewed her paperwork, and he agrees that this should go forward.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Gerard's motion for adoption for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further orders, motions, and resolutions. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking limited time is hereby amended by adding the following. Repeal Langdon Street in front of number 3 for a distance of 20 feet, handicap parking zone, handicap parking tow zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by city charter. And Madam President, I move for adoption for first passage.
Thank you, Councilor Epley. Councilor Epley moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. This came through Lieutenant Brzezinski in the Salem Police Department Traffic Division. The handicap parking spot is no longer needed for that particular spot, and so we're just seeking to repeal that.
Excellent. Any further discussion? On Councilor Epley's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Councilor Epley, further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, the City Council, January 26, 2017, ordered that the City Council Rules 30 and 31 be amended such that each councilor, with the exception of the president, shall serve on at least 2 subcommittees, one of which must be either the Committee on Administration and Finance or the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs. These amendments shall take effect on January 1, 2018. And I'm actually moving that this matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Okay, on Councilor Epley's motion that this matter be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs?
Co-posted.
Co-posted, okay, and discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. In the words of the in the words of the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want. And I submitted a request for appointments to several different committees and also liaisons. I didn't get any from Madam President. That's not why I'm here. I'm here because there's been a decision made by our president to keep 2 ward councilors off of our 2 major committees, namely myself and Councilor Turiel for this particular year. It's not so much an issue for me, it's an issue for wards 4 and 5, who for the next year are not going to be represented on those 2 major committees. That's 2/7 of the city that will be unrepresented. I look back on I look back at the last 12 years or so of appointments by presidents to the Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs Committee and the Administration and Finance Committee. This is not the first time that within those 12 years that 2 councilors have been kept off of those 2 major committees. The other time that it happened was in 2007 when President Vino did not appoint either councilors Blair or Sargent to either OLA or A&F. Those were 2 at-large city councilors, by the way. Neither one were ward councilors, and obviously Councilor Sargent's still here.
Thank you very much.
And within the past 8 years, Madam President, out of the past 8 years, except for one other time, President McCarthy and President Ryan, during that period of time, both of them served for 2 terms as council president. President McCarthy and President Ryan, in both times that they chaired this council, appointed all councilors to either the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs or the Committee on Administration and Finance. President Sargent and President Turiel in the past 2 years, as long as I've been in the City Council, along with President McCarthy, have appointed all councilors to either OLA or A&F. The only time in the last 8 years that one councilor was kept off the committee was when then President Joan Lovely did not appoint Councilor Prevey to either OLA and A&F. Madam President, I am asking this matter be referred to committee. I specifically included that any amendments shall take effect on January 1, 2018. So whatever action that the council takes will be prospective. I'm not looking to redo what Madam President you've done, but what I have asked for is that I would hope that we as a council reflect and decide that it's important for all 10 of the non-presidential councilors going forward, whether any of us are here next year or not, regardless of who is in the president's chair, that we make certain that we actually have equal representation. I don't want to be Guam. I don't want to be the District of Columbia. I don't want to be the Marianas Islands. All of those are territories, and they have delegates that go to the U.S. House. They can talk, and I'm okay at talking, but none of those folks get to vote. None of those folks get to vote. The 10 people that are down here should be able to vote one time on a major committee. And I hope that my colleagues on the Ordinances and Licenses and Legal Affairs Committee takes this into account when they're addressing some of the other rules that I know that the special committee addressed and put into committee. I'm left, I would want to avoid going forward that there's any question about decisions that are made and whether ulterior motives are involved. They could be, they couldn't be. Could be an oversight, I don't know. But going forward, I don't want that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Epley. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I find the motion interesting, but I'm wondering if it might be better served if we put it before our Rules Committee, if that is where I think it should go.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. I believe the Rules Committee was an ad hoc. It was just created for that particular reason, and if I'm not mistaken, the rules that, or the recommendations that the committee brought forward were put into OLA. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, you're absolutely correct. That's precisely where all of the suggestions from our ad hoc committee went specifically into OLA, and I believe that was carried forward from the last year into this current year. So that's where that matter currently stands.
Yeah. Councilor Ryan.
I'll be happy to take this up in OLA, and just the fact that I think it should be up to the council president, but that's fine with me. I mean, the year I was council president, the 2 times, I thought it was good to spread it out, and like you said, have everyone on that, and then normally the president doesn't sit on it, and it's up to the president. But as far as like representation, I mean, you have the final say when it comes back to the council. I agree that you don't have as much the voting say in the committee, but ultimately when anything comes out, you have the ultimate say, and we're all the same. When we're all councilors for the city, even though we're broken up, some are ward councilors, some are whatever. I was the Ward 4 councilor for 6 years. But you're right, I mean, if I was a council president, everyone's different. Everyone has their own different things. But we'll bring it up in OLA.
Councilor McCarthy, then Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Madam President. I mean, this is a delicate issue, and I appreciate the good Ward 4 council bringing it in. But at the same time, sometimes, I mean, I understand the intent, but it's sometimes, for various reasons that I don't want to get into, some people have requested, I know this, and I don't want to get into the pictures of it, have requested not to sit on either. For whatever personal reason they may have coming on the other, whatever happened, it could be something in their family life or whatever, they may not have requested to sit on either. So, I mean, it's going to be a very delicate way in which you do that, because some councilor, for whatever reason, I'm not going to speak to particulars, may not want to serve on either finance, and at that point it becomes the decision of the president. But that's pretty much, I mean, I will divulge, for the last number of years, whoever's been the council president, I put on my form, I serve at the will of the president. Wherever you feel that you need me the most, please plug me in, whether it's a chair or to sit on any committee. I mean, some of us who have been in this room for a long time, I'm in my 10th year, Council Sergeant, Council Fury. We've sat on all the committees, we've chaired the committees. Some of the younger guys, even women who've been they're in the room, want to step up and serve as chairs. Where I serve at the pleasure of the president, and the president has that decision. I respect the intent, but sometimes you may or may not know, with a specific case, someone may not have requested that. They could have something going on family-wise, whether someone in their family's sick and they don't want to, they still have the ability to serve as counselor, but they don't have the time commitment to give to some of the major committees. They may have something going on. Personally, I could go through the list. There's a whole, but all I'm saying is there may be a reason why someone may not want to serve, and at that would point, then the president's put in a difficult situation. I know I've served on both committees.
I think we all know what the intent is.
3 times. 3 times in my 10 years, so.
Councilor Epley, then Councilor Turrio. Thank you, Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I will be very brief because I've spoken already. The issue of having each councilor serve on either of those 2 major committees is a concern that I've articulated before last term, and I'm concerned coming into this year that if anything is referred to a particular committee and it's not referred, if the matter that's referred to the committee isn't acted upon and referred back, whether a positive or a negative recommendation, that something gets buried in committee. And I want to avoid that. And so I appreciate the good at-large councilors' comments about, us as a council having the ability to vote. But again, in order, if there's a recalcitrant majority of a subcommittee, it only takes 3. If there's a recalcitrant majority in a subcommittee, they can withhold any and all actions taking place on this, before this floor, because the only way that I could extract it, as not sitting on either one of those 2 committees, would be with a motion to discharge. And that has to, the only way that it prevails is on an 8-3, on an 8-3 value. So I'm concerned about that. I have referred it to committee so there can be a fuller discussion, and I appreciate the comments.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, in my first year, my first year on the council, 2012, Councilor McCarthy that year served double duty on both committees. I do remember that from my first year, and I was rather impressed by the workload he took on as I was learning the job.
It's a lot of work.
So I do think it's a good guideline for us to have all councilors serving on one of the 2 major committees as well as one or more of the smaller subcommittees. I think that's a wonderful goal. I completely agree with what my colleague from Ward 1 said about there could be reasons at a particular time that a councilor may not be able to provide that extra time commitment at times, and I have no problem with that being a matter of discretion at that point in time. So we'll see what we can phrase it as when it goes in for, you know, when this rule goes into committee. I myself am fine with the way the committees are this year. It's not an issue. I had a fairly busy workload for the last 3 years with 2 years chairing A&F and a year as president. So working on the 2, on community and economic development, and public health and safety and the environment are, you know, it's nice to have that slightly different workload this year. So, but all that considered, I'll still be, you know, despite that, I'll still be active on all the committees for any of the topics that, you know, that I feel that I need to work on, either because of interest or city issue or something benefiting my ward, so.
Thank you, Councilor Terrio. Any further discussion? On Councilor Epley's motion to move this matter to ordinances, licenses, and legal affairs co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, did we get a second on this? Seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Thank you. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 26, 2017, ordered that the bus parking space rules, regulations, and related city ordinance be reviewed by the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs and the Parking and Traffic Commission. Recommendations regarding changes to them shall be reported back to the City Council for the review, recommendation, and any necessary action. On discussion.
You have a motion for adoption?
Well, I move for adoption, but...
Yeah, okay. Councilor Sargent moves for adoption. Now into discussion.
Thank you very much. I also have a friendly amendment by Councilor Famico, and then I'll put on the discussion, okay?
Sure. Do we know what it is?
Yeah, I have it right here. She put it in writing, so it's...
Okay.
There's one on your desk as well, Madam President.
That the ordinance relative to tour bus parking be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, and the Traffic and Parking Commission. Recommendations of amendments from the Commission shall be reported back to the OLA Committee for their review, recommendation, and any necessary action. I'll turn that back in with that. Under discussion, I talked to Councilor Famico about the bus parking, and she put me in touch with the Parking and Traffic Commission, and I attended their meeting with Councilor Dibble. And we went over these bus parking spaces and how often they've been used. And they've only were used during the last week of October by buses, and that for about 3 days. Even Halloween Day, they weren't used. And it's a friendly situation where it doesn't seem to be working, but the Parking and Traffic Commission is also reviewing this, and them, along with Lieutenant Pasuski, asked me to bring this in so that it would be formally before them after our discussion, so that we could refer it to them and bring it back to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs. So, they would say those spaces, I think that it was probably determined by the most important people that it comes before as far as whether or not they work, the tour bus drivers, because even during Halloween week, they chose not to park there. It was, and I've gone by there almost every day since then, and there's been 6 to 8 spaces empty all day, every day, needed spaces downtown. And I have a petition that was given to the city clerk with 700 names of customers and residents of the area that want to eliminate those tour bus spaces. So with that being said, it will go through the process with the Parking and Traffic Commission, and I have another order to bring in also related to that. But I'd like to have it pass, go to committee with a friendly amendment attached, please.
Councilor Famico. Thank you, Councilor Sargent.
Madam President, and thank you to the at-large councilor for working with the commission and me on this as well. I'd like to add, just as a refresher with this, we had approved this right before going into October, the first 2 weeks of October. The police were issuing a lot of tickets in that area. For the first 2 weeks of October, we had people continuing to park in the bus spaces, even though they were marked. We had our whole debacle with the second bus space, so that went into action the last 2 weeks of October. So I know they're taking into account that. The first-hand accounts for the businesses as well. And they started discussion the other day, they being the Traffic and Parking Commission, at not only reviewing these spots, but reviewing the others throughout the town and also the routes that the buses take to get to and from these locations. Whereas we have a lot of streets that are already no bus or heavy vehicles allowed, it's a big part of their examination of this is looking at how they're going to get to there and how they're going to leave. So I know this particular order allows them to review everything with not only the residents, the business community, and we'll have some people from the tourism industry that actually ride the buses as part of the discussion as well. But I urge anyone that's interested in this, attend the Parking and Traffic Commission, see what their thoughts are as traffic engineers and people with backgrounds in planning, but also to realize that we have people in the neighborhood as well. But this will give us another chance. And when it ties into the second motion for this, we also had kind of a deadline for them to review it, which we'll get into in a moment.
Thank you, Councilor Famico. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. As someone with great interest in this, and we'll attend this meeting relative to this, not so much specifically the bus parking on the Holyoke Square, I understand that, but when we went through this all last year, but part of what we need to address that got lost in the mix last year as this body took on the recommendations of redoing some of the bus parking is, and it's no disrespect to some of these businesses and locations where the buses used to be, people are taking ultimate advantage of prime parking spaces that are now not signed with limited parking and or meters. So there's some where these buses used to be when we moved them to this other location and we reconfigured buses around the city last year. The part that got missed, which the Traffic Commission needs to address if they're going to address these buses, is if they're not going to move the buses back to where they used to be, then they need to take those spaces and they need to mark them appropriately and bring it back as an order in front of us, whether they're going to return to metered spots or they're going to be returned to time-limited spots. Because right now, people in the know are taking advantage of spots in prime locations in and around our downtown area in a parking. Not that it's a bad thing that people get to park all day for free. I'm not going to argue that. But when someone's parking for free all day and the spot immediately in front of them is 50 cents an hour, 25 cents an hour, whatever it is, some people are taking advantage of it, and I think that it just needs to be equitable across the board. So whatever the decision is, I think that we need to address the spots that we did move the buses from last year as well during this discussion about what we do with the buses.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Okay, on Councilor Sargent's motion for adoption as amended by Councilor Famico's amendment, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
Councilor Sargent.
Oh, did I miss some? Oh, Councilor Sargent, sorry.
Thank you, Madam President.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
No worries. City of Salem and City Council, January 26, 2017, ordered that the bus parking spaces in Holyoke Square be changed back to vehicle parking spaces. The parking rules for these parking spaces shall be the same rules that were in place before they were changed to bus parking space. That this order be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs and the Parking and Traffic Commission for the review and recommendation. Move for adoption.
Okay, Councilor Sargent moves for adoption and discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. I also have a friendly amendment that makes great sense from Councilor Famico, and I'm glad to accept it. And And this is that the bus parking spaces on Holyoke Square shall be made public 2-hour spaces, 7 days a week, from January 26, 2017 until March 31st, 2017. On discussion? And that being the reason, it'll give the Parking and Traffic Commission time to go over this, but in the meantime, those spaces can be used until then, until we can sort all this out. So, as I said before, the spaces aren't being used for buses, and there are businesses that could use these spaces, especially some seniors that go to some of the hairdressing salons along there, have to park way down in Riley Plaza. So I think these spaces are well needed. They aren't being used. We went through a process, and it was a little bit contentious, but of course all's forgiven, and we just need to move forward with this. And so I move for adoption, and let's put this into the proper hands and have it get fixed if we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Sargent. Councilor Dibble, then Councilor Famico. Okay, Councilor Famico.
As everyone, as the council notices here, it does say 4. 2 is completely fine, and this will actually allow us as well, as I mentioned prior, that when we first put the bus spots in, we actually found some vehicles were parked in this stretch for 2-3 days at a time, which actually made it so people couldn't go to some of the businesses. So this will help straighten that out with that area. It is 2?
Is it 2?
Yeah, I put the changes.
We have a copy for you too, Madam Clerk.
Put the changes in there.
But this also, by making it the March
this goes with
31st, as the good-at-large counselor stated, it gives us a time limit that we're turning around for not only the regulations, but those spots, and it's making that we're taking action, and until then, we can have some signage put up along the lines that this will be that way. And making this an order that's temporary, this can go into effect tomorrow without having to move for amendments to the city ordinance.
Thank you, Councilor Famico. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I spent a lot of time out there on the street. I measured up the street one night at 10 o'clock at night with a good at-large counselor. I compliment both of these counselors for working together to find a compromise to make this, to bring it back. I voted against turning this area into bus parking because it takes bus parking away from, it takes public parking away from businesses that were in that area, that there's not a lot of parking in there. I shop right down there. All the spaces are usually taken, or all but one, and then it's a jockey for that one spot. So this is good to turn this downtown parking back to the businesses, and then at night and the weekends, the residents that live there can use the property. So once again, I applaud the good Ward 2 councilor and the good at-large councilor for coming together and finding a compromise and getting this done.
Thank you, Councilor Dibble. Further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Sargent's motion for adoption as amended by Councilor Famico, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 26, 2017. Ordered that the Committee on Administration and Finance meet with the Finance Director and any other appropriate administration officials to discuss the possibility of implementing open checkbook for the city finances. Under discussion?
Move for adoption?
I'll move for adoption, but...
Okay, under discussion. Yeah.
When we first had our retreat back at the beginning of our term last year, one of the most important improvements I thought we could make was to get the city's checkbook online. And the mayor had indicated at that time that she was for that. Nothing's really come of it since then because we're busy doing other things. And I was able to do some research on this recently, and there's a program. You look at the town of Brookline, they've got a program where you can actually go into the program, download and drill down to see where the checks, the warrants that come out every month, where the checks are going and who they're going to. So it gives you a deep, in-depth picture of where our city funds are being spent, and I think that should be in the public domain. I spoke to the mayor about this. I spoke to the finance director. They had no objection to this, and the mayor's concern was how much it was going to cost. I don't want to say, I spoke to one vendor, happened to be the vendor who does the town of Brookline, and you can go onto their site. I will send these sites to all the councilors, so you can take a look at it for yourself. I think it's well worth the effort. It's a small amount of money. I did indicate, I asked for a ballpark figure. It's very inexpensive. You'll be surprised when I tell you. I just don't want to say publicly because I said I would not, because there may be other vendors out there who may want to bid on it. So that being said, I would, another thing I would like to say is that I requested a copy of the warrants and I got a download of a file. If anybody would like it, I'd be happy to share it. It tells you exactly where the funds are being spent from each department, so you can get a handle on why and what checks are going out. So you can ask the various departments, what was this check to Joe Smith for, Joe Smith Construction? You could put the pieces together. I think rather than just seeing a large number saying we're spending X on supplies, I mean, WB Mason is everywhere in there. I don't mean it to that, but if you look at where money's being spent, you get a better handle on where our tax dollars are going. I think that's very important for us as councilors, but also very important for the public at large. We can do this very, very inexpensively, so I hope that you would adopt the order.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Madam President. This is just a request of the good Ward 3 councilor, if this matter could be co-posted.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? On Councilor Lovely's motion that this matter be referred to the committee. Oh, sorry. Councilor Giroux.
Thank you. Just quickly, I think that this is a good idea to look into this. When I've spoken with the finance director about this, she pointed out that they had looked at open checkbook 2 years ago, and they said that it was very expensive at that time. But, you know, we also do have visual budget. We have the city stat program, and our budgets are online, and we also get our monthly reports as well as our quarterly reports as well. And as Councilor Lovely pointed out, that if you call someone and you ask them about how they're spending the money, then they will gladly share that. So I think that this will be a great meeting to discuss this, or to discuss if there's other programs out there that that are available to us. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Okay, on Councilor Lovely's motion that this matter be sent to the Committee on A&F, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 26, 2017, ordered that the city solicitor prepare a home rule petition for a beer and wine package store license for the business known as Castle Hill Mini Mart, located at 280 Jefferson Avenue, Salem, Massachusetts. I move for adoption.
Councilor Lovely moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Yes, I've spoken with the city solicitor. This is what she requested so that she can prepare a home rule petition. I've also spoken to the mayor in regard to this. It's a very small business. This won't be anything new to the neighborhood. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Palms Grocery Store. Palms had a beer and wine license. They moved on to other ventures, and there was Dance Etc. Dance Studio was there. Now it's been sold to a young woman, excuse me, who's, it's a new business. She's struggling. Was hoping to have beer and wine, and I told her that I would do so to the neighborhoods used to having it there. I don't think there'll be any objection, so I hope that the order will be adopted.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering about the amount of parking that's there, which is really almost none, and the proximity to Salem High School. Are we putting a liquor store too close to Salem High School? Thank you.
Councilor Epley.
I don't want to talk on the merits on this, and I'm not a member of the Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs Committee, but I'm wondering if there's a time-sensitive nature to this request, and if other councilors have questions, like the good Ward 7 councilor, if there's not a time sensitivity issue, that this matter just be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. I'm not making that motion unless the Ward 3 councilor says that, unless there's not a timeliness issue.
Councilor Lovely.
Yeah, this order is just to prepare the home rule petition. That'll be coming back before us, hopefully at the next regular meeting. When you start a new business and, time is of the essence to get your business up and running. As far as parking, there are service zones that were already in effect when Palms Grocery Store was there, Palms Variety. And The signs are back up, so there is parking. The building is on the corner, the business is on the corner, and there are 3 or 4 spaces in front. There's plenty of spaces across the street for parking, as well as up on Reed Street. So it was an operating business. I mean, I grew up on Lawrence Street. There were several little grocery stores in the neighborhood when I grew up. Mackerel's was at this location, and then followed by Blanchette's, and then thereafter was Palm's Variety. Palm's had a very successful business for 12 or 15 years until the boys, I'm guessing it's 12, 15 years, until the 2 boys who ran the store went on to other ventures, just moved on from that business. So we'll have an opportunity to answer any questions prior that anybody would have. So the petition will be coming back to us at the next regular meeting. I'm hoping that we can pass it then to get it up to the legislature. So while things are relatively slow, now that they've got the bills are in the hopper, so to speak, there's a little bit of lull before they start having hearings so that we can get this approved. That's my intention.
Councilor McCarthy.
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Councilor Famico.
Yeah. And to double on that, it gives the other councilors 2-week opportunity to look into such things as the parking and other issues, because we still have to approve the petition itself.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of what you said.
Whereas we still have 2 weeks, it gives councilors an opportunity to examine the site and everything else prior to them voting on the petition.
Okay,
Because this is just to prepare it.
thank you. Okay, so any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Lovely's motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Do we have any further motions, orders, or any late files or anything? No? Okay. Committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of granting certain licenses, has considered said matter and would recommend approval.
Okay, on acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? The report is accepted. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Yeah, it's just for seaworm licenses, secondhand clothing, secondhand valuable tag days. Anyone have any questions? Really standard of that?
Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the, make sure I make it, all right. The Salem Assessor's affidavit forms that were mailed to the property owners relative to content, information requested, and retention, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
We had it on our agenda for Monday, but we came to some resolution and had some more questions, so we kept it in committee, so I'll be back.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of a junk dealer license application submitted by Newick Recycle Fibers, North Shore Recycling, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee.
On acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Also on Monday, we had that on the agenda, but we decided to keep it in committee because the petitioner was unable to attend, and we wanted to get some more information. If Council Lovely wants to say anything, it's his ward, but it's still in our committee, and we're working on trying to get it back out again.
Any further discussion? Seeing none? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of a hearing request for Jael Pena regarding the denial of his taxi operator license, has considered said matter and would recommend that his license be granted contingent upon good monthly statements from the probation department to Officer Page.
Okay, on acceptance of the committee report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Not really any discussion. It's just we granted this license and there was a condition on it, so as long as he abides by that, it should be fine.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinances, License, Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of hearing request for Oscar Garcia regarding the denial of his taxi operator license, has considered said matter and would recommend that his license be granted with condition upon the license having no violations within a year per the police or his police chief or her designee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion,
That's all the floor. This is another one with a condition, and there was some issues in there, but Councilor Famico.
Councilor Famico.
It didn't make it to the agenda here, but the last line should read, per the discretion of the police chief or her designee, so I'd like to amend that.
Per the discretion, to add after,
The very last line, upon the licensee having no violations within a year, per the discretion of the police chief or her designee.
okay, I'll accept that amendment. It was in there. I couldn't read my writing, sorry. I should have been a doctor. Per the discretion of the police chief or her designate. Okay.
Okay, any further discussion? On adoption of the recommendation as amended by Councilor Famico, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Gerard? Nope.
I got one more.
One more. Councilor Ryan?
The Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of a hearing request for Juan Reynoso regarding the denial of his taxi operator license, has considered the matter and would recommend that his license be granted and that the licensee will bring his court record to Officer Page.
Okay, on acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Under discussion, this is another one where the license got denied, he appealed it. There was an issue, and Councilor Page, we agreed to, Officer Page, sorry, we agreed to just bring his thing there, and he should be all set.
Okay, any further discussion? Councilor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Although this passed with the...
Point of order, we can't discuss anything
I'm
else
not
today. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Although this passed by a 4-to-1 vote, I have some reservations on this one applicant with the history. So I'm in opposition to this. I'll be voting against it.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Dibble. Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Ryan's recommendation for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, January 26, 2017. The Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of an appropriation of $35,000 from the fund balance free cash to planning contracted services for a new Salem bicycle share program, has considered the said matter and would recommend approval.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. We had a very long discussion about this. There were questions about the contract and, as explained by our finance director, that we needed to approve the money in order to complete the contract and get that worked out. So without the money approval, then we can't go forward with the contract. And where, we've become more and more of a biking community, and people are very excited about this. And even one of the committee members, Councilor Fury, pointed out that bicycling is intergenerational. And this is an opportunity for us to have an enhanced bicycle sharing program. And overall, the committee, minus one member, was excited about this and very interested in this and going forward with this. And it is, this came out approved, I'm sorry, 3-2.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Gerard. Councilor Famico, then Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. So when this first became before us a couple weeks ago, I did have quite a few questions on this, mainly due to when we had Salem Spins, we had some maintenance issues. And at the time, I had seen that the response for proposal, what they said they would have, didn't actually transfer into the contract. For example, what maintenance would it entailed, what it did not entail, and also a look at the rebalancing. And rebalancing is to make sure that you don't have one station with 0 bikes and another station that has 8 or 9. So we added a separate section to add that rebalancing element, but as part of this, we specified what the maintenance is. And also I'll say that I called a total of about 4 other cities that have Zegster as well to ask what their experience has been. And actually, by chance, I just went on the Zegster site, chose 3 by random choice. And out of those communities, a lot of them are very similar to Salem with an element of tourism. One down in Florida, I think it's Lakeland, they had a community college in their town too that they have a hub on their campus. They use it for tourism. Another city I called has one of these stations at the entrance to their bike path, which I had never thought of as a reason to make it a recreational use. So you could put it right there, you hop on the bike path with your friends, your family, whoever it is, and you can continue, and it makes it a healthy community. So I'm happy those were there, and I'd like to say that between the Salem MBTA station and the ferry station in particular was another issue for me, because we have it right next to salt air, but now the contract actually has oxidation in that for the coverage of that. The other communities have been quite happy with Zegster. The only kind of drawback that they looked at, and I know Zegster's looking at fixing this, is to make sure if you have a membership in one city, that it's transferable to another. And I know that the city solicitor now is also looking at that we can make a regional memorandum of understanding to make sure the cities that are connected to us have the same program. So we're looking at the whole North Shore region versus just our own backyards for this. But I'm very thankful for the city solicitor for putting in all the work and kind of going through my questions, the members of the Traffic and Parking Commission, Bicycling Advisory Group who also looked in this, and Jeff Ellie for spending a lot of time with specifying what the rebalancing is for looking into the maintenance clause of that as well.
Thank you, Councilor Fumiko. Councilor Lovely, Councilor Terrio, Councilor Gerard.
At the risk of being mischaracterized as somebody not being excited about the program, I did in the committee meeting say that I thought it was a great idea. I think it's an idea that hasn't been fully developed. We've heard that we're going to get the college involved, we're going to get Salem Hospital involved, and it was even alluded to that we were going to use mitigation funds from the hospital build-out to fund this program. That was news to me. I've been closely involved with the mayor discussing what those funds would be used for. For those who aren't aware, we're going to be getting some funds from the hospital, and that those funds, at my insistence, and the mayor has agreed, they're going to come back to the city council, at least to the city council, to accept them, as well as we'll have to vote on where those funds go. The mayor never mentioned to me using any of this mitigation money for the bike sharing program. While I think it's a great idea, it's just not fully developed. We don't have a commitment from the hospital, we don't have a commitment from the college, and to spend Council Fumiko alluded to the previous program didn't go so well. I think that's an understatement. I don't think it went well at all. I don't know how much money we spent on that, but I just feel uncomfortable with a project like this that we talked about $35,000 this year, perhaps going up to a budget of $50,000 in the future, and that's just our share. I think that we have, I know the sense of the council that it's going to pass, but I think we have bigger needs than bicycle sharing program here in the city of Salem. I've talked about probably ad nauseum, and I apologize for that, for services that people are demanding. And when you go out knocking on doors, as I do during the campaign, you'll hear that. People will point at trees that have orange dots on them that are supposed to have been taken down by virtue of those orange dots that haven't been done. I've had extensive discussions with the mayor about increasing and bulking up the services to the community out beyond downtown. That being said, all I asked for, the sense of the committee was that they were going to approve this. All I asked for was to review the contract. I got a contract placed on my desk during the meeting that you can't read. The print is so small. It's my training, and I feel it's my obligation as a city council to look at to review the contract, to find out what we're binding ourselves to. We don't even have a finished contract. All I ask for is to approve it, subject to the contract coming back to the city council for review and approval. The sense of the council, although I disagree, is to go along with this bike sharing program. But we can't look at the contract. If we vote for this evening without a review of the contract, yeah, we can see the contract after it's done. We can't make a financial decision on it or make any recommendations on it. It's already done. The administration will have the power to write the contract the way they wish. I just don't think that's the way we should be doing things. We should have a look at, do I trust them? It's not a matter of trust, it's a matter of our job, or at least as I see it, my job, to see a contract, to see what the city is being, what they're entering into the contract to do. So I think the concept is great, but it's not developed enough to where I would want to commit city funds to it. Again, I think the sense of the council is that they'd like to do that, but I guess I implore you, at least for my sake, that I be allowed to review the contract as I should. Any of you who go in to buy anything, enter into any type of financial agreement, you read the paperwork. That's what we're charged with doing on behalf of our constituents. I'm not going to throw up any roadblocks to try to stop the program that I don't think is developed enough for me to support, as I pointed out, but I just feel we need to, if you want to approve it, it should be subject to our being able to review the language and approve the contract. Thank you.
Councilor Terrio, then Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm looking forward to this program being implemented. The original Salem Spins program that this is expected to replace was a great effort. It worked fairly well for a couple of years, and really there are some fundamental flaws into the way it was set up, but it was set up at a pretty low cost. Without having the exact numbers in front of me right now, I think it cost an average of around a few $1,000s a year to do. The first time out, the bicycles had to be purchased, the locations had to be set up. But there wasn't a lot that went into it. It was getting simple commuter bikes, letting the locations getting the cooperation of the locations where the bikes were being stored to manage the rentals, simple free program, present your license and be able to go off with a bike. It's a great first start. It showed that there were, and I know members of the city council, the Ward 2 council in particular, took advantage of that program and wound up buying their own bikes as a result of it. But it was a great first step forward into the idea of bike sharing here in the city, and it was done at a pretty low cost. And yeah, maintenance was a big problem. They sat out, especially by the ferry dock. They sat out in the salt air. They got beat up. We didn't. We had Salem Cycles set to do basic maintenance of them, but we weren't. We didn't provide for that effectively in it because nobody really knew what they were getting into. In this particular case, we're looking at the beginning of what hopefully, based on what I've seen in other communities, has been a really rewarding bike share type program. You can go to a lot of cities that are comparable to us and find programs that are run in multiple locations around a community, and seeing bicycles be used more. It's a terrific thing. The difference here, or the thing here, is what we're looking at right now is really just, I think, the first step into a much richer, more fully developed bike sharing program. And we're starting out with some of the locations that we've traditionally used, like the ferry dock, like the MBTA station was something that was been in the works, downtown location. We're looking at those locations right now, but as this program develops and brings in its own revenues, which I fully expect will happen, I can say that out of people that I myself have spoken to about this over the last several months about bike sharing has been, people want to see this more professional, more managed type of bike sharing program in Salem. They don't want a Salem Spins. They want unlock it on their smartphone, walk over and take a bike and go. They don't want to have to go in and check in at the desk at the Hawthorne and sign up for their bike, or check in at the ferry dock to do it and then leave their license or whatever and come back and hand it back over. So I think from having looked at the first draft of the contract, a few of those things hadn't yet been defined fully. I did a glance through it this evening, and it looks like most of the points are hit. I'm pretty confident that the city will take care of this in the final draft before they actually execute said contract. And I think it's a relatively low cost for the city at this time. It's the beginning forward of a program that I think is going to really enhance the appeal of our city to people and provide a valuable service for a lot of the people who live here. So bike sharing is something that works really well in a lot of communities. I'm looking forward to us moving forward. And I said, down the road, I hope we see hubs at the bike path entrances, at Salem State, at the hospital, at all sorts of places. I'd love to see this really develop.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Gerard, then Councilor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I really want to thank Councilor Fumiko because she did so much work on this, and she just really helped enhance the conversation greatly. So I thank her very much for all her work. In terms of and I don't know if this was already mentioned, that we were talking about, there's going to be 3 locations that we're looking at: a downtown location, the T station, and the ferry. There are other opportunities, and the city has started to talk to a little bit with Salem State, saying, hey, would you be interested in this? And the nice thing where the city is taking the lead is that we now have control of the contract. So if it was Salem State taking the lead, or if it was North Shore Medical Center taking the lead, then they would have control over the contract and we wouldn't be able to have a say in it. And this way, while we're the ones that are doing it, we get control of the contract. And fact of the matter is that the administration has been very transparent about this, and when Councilor Fumiko even raised some issues and some concerns, they sat down with her and they hammered out issues and made sure that it was a better contract for us. And the fact of the matter is that the contract was initially sent to us in the beginning of January. So we've had time to look at this, and this is just, it's a great program. I think that this is going to be absolutely fantastic for the city, and if anything can alleviate traffic on North Street, I know that my constituents would love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Fury, then Councilor Fumiko.
Yes, because I think we often recognize and respect Councilor O'Keefe for what he did over the years. I think one voice and one example that we should always remember as the epitome and essence of public service was Mayor Sam Zoll. And he was a newspaper boy when he was a young boy, who knew the city, he knew his route. And customers knew him, and he knew each customer by the first name. He was a city councilor here in this chamber, who went door to door. I know that, we all know what that's like. He went on to become mayor, one of the most distinguished mayors in the history of Salem. Went on to become a judge, distinguished judge. It's an example to former Senator Scott Brown. All his active life, he swam, he walked, and he bicycled. He was the Pied Piper of bicycling, way ahead of his time, all the way to Gloucester. We dedicated a beautiful gazebo and bench down on Winter Island in Ward 1 to his memory. I often sit there when I go down to Winter Island and think of the role model that Mayor Zoll set for all of us, a high standard for all of us. So I sincerely believe he's looking down as a great supporter now, this great program that is an investment to the future. And as a bicyclist, Councilor Fumiko knows the ins and outs. And you may not remember Sam Zoll, but he was the essence of what public service is all about. And I think he's looking down saying, thank you, Councilor Fumiko, and it's a great program. It's an investment for social, healthy way of living. And thank you, Councilor Fumiko.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. Councilor Fumiko.
Actually, as a tag on to that, my grandfather, so is my dad's dad, had given Sam Zoll his paper route when he was about 9 years old. So yes, I know the name well. And to go into this as well, with the future locations, it's set up in such a way that if we add future locations for this, it's at the same rate that we currently have, and if Salem State or North Shore Medical Center, they're locked into that same rate. And it's part of the expansion order form for that, so we can add additional locations without adding extra fees for that.
Councilor Lovely. Thank you, Councilor.
Yeah, I'd just like to bring my motion to the floor. My motion would be to accept this contingent upon the contract coming back to the City Council for its review and approval. And just on their remarks, I too had great respect for Sam Zoll. He worked very hard, and I'd venture to say he bought his own bike.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, on Councilor Lovely's motion to, can you repeat it for me, please?
My motion is to approve the, to go along with the recommendation of the committee, but to, as a condition, that it the contract come back before the City Council for its review and approval.
Okay, seconded by Councilor Sargent. Under discussion. Councilor Girai.
Thank you,
sorry.
Madam President. This had come up in committee, and the concern was with the timing of this, and that they can't, by the Department of Revenue's rules, the city, the finance director can't, and the city solicitor can't even start working on the contract until we release the funds. And also, where we're going to be going in the spring soon, we want to allow for enough advertising and get the word out about this program, and we need to get this money now, and we need to get this done now. So we need to allow this, and this came up in committee and it failed.
Councilor Lovely.
Just by retort, if we vote for this, we're approving the funds, and all they have to do is bring the contract in. I haven't seen a final contract. Nobody has. It's not finished. So all I'm asking is to do our duty to look at the contract, the final contract, and review it. And we can't, we're saying, okay, go ahead, spend the money, give us the contract. I mean, we should have the contract, the final contract, yeah. We don't. There's no contract.
Councilor Epley, then Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm an attorney by day and a counselor by night, and those are two different hats. My job as a counselor is to review the orders and ordinances that come before us. And one of the things is on occasion reviewing some contracts. My understanding, I'm not a member of the Administration and Finance Committee, but my understanding is that the committee members have had this contract, including the Ward 3 Council, who's a member of that committee, have had this contract since January 12th. So if there were issues or concerns regarding that contract, they could have raised those, any of the committee members could have raised those issues with the city solicitor at that time. Notwithstanding the fact that my understanding is that, again, the Ward 2 councilor has raised some of those issues with the city solicitor and other members of the administration. At the end of the day, this is a $35,000 contract. If we can't trust our city solicitor, we don't need to have too many cooks in the kitchen in order to have our city solicitor do her job, which is to look out for the betterment of the city from a legal perspective. I agree with the Ward 3 councilor that we do on occasion have the ability and should review contracts in general, but dotting T's and crossing I's, whichever way you do it. That's not our job. That's the city solicitor's job. And if we were talking about a much larger contract and being much more specific and in detail and so forth, I might go more along the lines of where the Ward 3 councilor is wanting to go, but that's not the situation. So I'll be voting for approval on the overall underlying motion.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. There's one basic issue in front of us tonight. You either want to support a bike program or you don't. If you don't want to support it, vote no. If you want to support it, vote yes. In the long term, what's going to happen is, as been said when we had the first committee meeting 2 weeks ago and we had the other committee meeting today, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry that the Good Ward 3 Council wasn't able to attend that meeting, we had the representatives from Zagsta. This contract is in flux. What the appropriation does is allow them, have a commitment from the city to move the program forward, so they can purchase the bikes, the racks, determine where they want the final location, because that's still up in flux. Once they determine all those things, that contract, with all the people who have been working on the contract, including members of this body, the Good Ward 2 councilor has taken the lead. She's talked to me about this, about issues that she's had with the contract. She's taken the lead on this. She's very passionate about it. I'm sorry about that. She's very passionate. I told you about that ring on that finger. I'll take it off. I'm going to remove it. She's very passionate about it, and she's been working hand in hand with the solicitor. I've touched base with the solicitor myself on this issue. It's a work in progress, and I appreciate that. If anyone in this body wants to get that contract and review it and make recommendations to the solicitor, she'll be more than happy to consider those things and take them into account and work with Zagsta to get this done. What this is tonight is to appropriate the money to move forward with the program with the intent that we know the general basics. They're going to purchase 18 bikes. They're going to be at 3 different locations. They're committed for maintenance, upkeep, and they're also committed to move them around. All the major concerns that we've heard about the existing program, what the final details are, right now, we're not even determining what the cost is that they're going to charge for memberships, because they're still trying to figure that out, because this is their first venture into the North Shore. Whether or not Beverly adopts it, maybe there's a combined one, you could take the bike from here to Beverly. That's all up in flux. It's a bunch of moving targets. Right now, it's about, do you want the bike program, yes or no, and let them work it out.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Lovely, then, did I see a hand over here? No?
Just briefly, I don't understand what we're afraid of. You mentioned the contract is in flux. Those are terms of a contract, and Councilor Epley knows you come to a general understanding of what the terms of the contract are, but the details are in the, dotting the i's and crossing the t's. But it's a 16-page contract. I mean, I did not have the privilege of getting this email to me previously, and I wasn't able to meet the meeting. But talk about fine print. I got this put on my desk, 16 pages, and you can't read it. I don't have glasses, but you can't read it. So the contract, as admitted by the representative from the administration, the contract's not finished. Councilor McCarthy said, the contract's still in flux. What are we afraid of? We can vote for the money, just we take another look at the contract when it comes in. Here's what the final terms are. What's the harm in that? I don't understand. I see that as my duty to make sure that the contract is finished, not the concept of contract, but what is the contract? What's the terms? The terms in the four corners of the contract. I apologize, but, I went to law school, and that's my training.
Councilor McCarthy, then Councilor Terrio.
No, I didn't know my hand up.
I just have to move the question.
Okay, all right, Councilor Terrio motions to move the question.
We're starting with the amendment, so.
I was going to say, what we've got before us is Councilor Lovely's motion yours is actually a motion, right? It's not an amendment.
It's an amendment.
It's an amendment?
To the committee report.
Okay, well, on Councilor Lovely's motion for an amendment to approve the contract on the condition of, or to approve the funds on condition of reviewing the contract?
Review and approval of the contract.
Review and approval, okay. Seconded by Councilor Sargent. All those in favor?
Roll call, please.
Okay, do I see 3 hands? All right, on Councilor Lovely's motion, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Terrio?
No.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
No.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
No.
Counselor Fury?
No.
Counselor Famiko?
No.
Counselor Epley?
No.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. On Councilor Lovely's motion to amend, we have 11 councilors voting. We have 5 in the affirmative, 6 in the negative. The amendment does not pass. Now we're going back to Councilor Gerard's motion for recommendation of the committee report recommendation, correct? Any discussion, further discussion on that one?
The only thing I would request is a roll call vote on
Okay.
that.
Do I see 3 hands on this? Okay. All right. Madam City Clerk, will you kindly call the roll on Councilor Gerard's motion?
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
No.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
No.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
No. Oops, thank you. Okay, on the matter of acceptance of the committee's recommendation, we have 11 councilors voting, 8 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative. The matter carries.
Madam President, I move for immediate reconsideration in hopes that it does not prevail.
Councilor Famiko moves for immediate reconsideration in the hopes that it will not prevail. All those in favor? All those opposed? Opposed. Okay, the matter does not carry. Further committee reports. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. In City Council, January 26, 2017, the Committee on Community and Economic Development, to whom was referred the matter co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, the matter of the Housing Development Incentive Program, has considered said matter and would recommend that a public hearing, that the matter remain in committee and that a public hearing be scheduled for February 16th at 6:30 p.m.
Okay, on acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On the adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
None. I look forward to having this discussion at the public hearing.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councilor Famiko?
Yes, Madam President, I'd just like to thank the new chair for working with the different committee members to set up a date and time that worked for everyone's schedule and getting this arranged. And I look forward to a discussion not only with council members, but also members of the general public on their thoughts on this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from city officials.
We have a communication from the city clerk, Cheryl LaPointe, submitting the municipal election calendar for 2017.
Counselor Sargent.
Move adoption.
Counselor Sargent moves for adoption under discussion.
No discussion. No discussion.
Okay. On Counselor Sargent's recommendation for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Petitions.
We have a list of license applications for public guides.
Counselor McCarthy,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, we did, Counselor Ryan. Okay.
I waived the reading of the public guides, but you don't have to read them all out. Move granted.
Counselor Ryan moves that these be granted under discussion.
No discussion.
No discussion. Under Counselor Ryan's motion that these licenses be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions. Counselor Ryan.
We have license applications for junk dealer and tag days.
Move referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, and co-post to the committee whole in case somebody, I'm not on the committee, wants to speak on any of those.
Okay. On Counselor Ryan's motion that this be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, under discussion.
Madam President, I just want to make sure we send an invitation to Excel Recycling to come to the meeting when that is scheduled.
On discussion, yeah, if I have a meeting, they would have to be invited, yeah, to the petition.
Any further discussion? Okay. On Counselor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of drain layer contract operator licenses.
Counselor Ryan.
Move granted.
Counselor Ryan moves that these be granted under discussion.
No discussion.
No discussion. Under Counselor Ryan's motion that these be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of claims.
Counselor Sargent.
No, sorry, I move they be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs for their review.
Thank you, Counselor Sargent. Also, let the record review that Counselor Ryan's recused himself on this one. On Counselor Sargent's motion that these claims be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, any other discussion? No? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Further petitions.
We have 3 constable bonds and 2 drain layer bonds.
Counselor Ryan.
Move they be referred to the Committee on Ordinance, Licenses, and Legal Affairs and returned approved.
Counselor Ryan refers that, moves that these be referred to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs and return approved. Any discussion?
I have no discussion.
No? Okay. On Counselor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending zoning to include Jefferson Avenue in the entrance corridor overlay district.
Counselor Lovely.
Second and final passage.
Counselor Lovely moves for second and final passage by roll call vote? Does this require a roll call vote?
By roll call vote.
Okay. Do I see 3 hands? It wasn't on the... Okay. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Absolutely yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On Counselor Lovely's motion that this be adopted for second and final passage, 11 counselors voting, 11 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, the matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending zoning to include Paradise Road in the entrance corridor overlay district.
Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for adoption for second and final passage.
Roll call vote.
By roll call vote.
Counselor Dibble moves for adoption for second and final passage by roll call vote. Any discussion?
No.
No discussion? Okay. On Counselor Dibble's motion, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
Yes.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. On Councilor Dibble's motion, we have, for second and final passage, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending Traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking, limited time, repeal Federal Street in front of number 102.
Councilor Famico.
Move for adoption for second and final passage.
Councilor Famico moves for adoption for second and final passage. Under discussion?
No.
No discussion. On Councilor Famico's motion for adoption for second and final passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending Traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking, limited time, Pleasant Street in front of number 9.
Councilor Famico.
Move for adoption for second and final passage.
Councilor Famico moves for adoption for second and final passage. Any discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Famico's motion for adoption for second and final passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Councilor Fury.
Motion to adjourn, Madam President.
Councilor Fury moves to adjourn. We're adjourned. Thank you.